Hello and welcome to I Have Gnosis Tarot. My name is Ewan and today we are doing a timeless reading for the sign of Leo. Now this is for Leo rising, sun or moon signs, so please do go look at your natal chart, and if you don't know your natal chart there are plenty of free ones online. However, if you are here for your rising sign you will need your birth time for that. Of course, if whatever you see today doesn't resonate with you, please do go look at the other placements in your chart, because it's probably quite unlikely that you have Leo in all three placements. But if you do, you probably will resonate with what is here today. Now, as a timeless reading, this reading can be picked up at any time by anyone and will apply to any period of your life, particularly what you're going through now. However, I will be referencing astrological events at the time of the reading. And in that respect, just have a look at what has changed or what has happened in the period between the recording of this video and what's going through for you now, and see whether there was the astrological effects of the time of this reading are affecting what's happening for you now. Okay? So, okay. I do apologise that my voice sounds a bit strange, a bit bunged up because I've been ill recently, and I apologise for how the distance between the videos. Been doing quite a lot of tarot tutorial videos, but not necessarily a lot of readings. I do apologise for that, Leo. Now I will be doing the Celtic Cross spread, and I'll be using the Thoth Tarot deck, which I'm now shuffling. As I always do, I will be describing Celtic Cross spread as we go along, if you're not familiar with it, although I have done a video going through the Celtic Cross video, as well as a bit of tarot mysticism and how the tarot works in that video as well. Okay then, Leo, so before we begin the reading, I just ask you to step into a quiet space, both around you and within you, and see if you can just notice your thoughts, feelings and sensations without identifying with them. Just watch them as you would clouds in the sky or cars passing by. And as we enter this sacred space of awareness, consciousness of the self, just leave behind anything that is going on for you at the moment, Leo. As we remember, every ending is just a new beginning. And the first card we pulled for you there, Leo, is the Three of Discs. And this is actually one of my zodiac cards. Capricorn in Mars is associated with discipline through and in labour, working with a goal, doing with discipline and the mindset of achieving something at the end of it. And whilst Capricorn is not always the best friends with Leo, I think Leo can really appreciate Mars in Capricorn. Indeed, you may even have Mars in Capricorn. Okay, that's a good card to start out with, Leo. And that's something that we do know. So now we're going to look at something that we don't know. That is the challenge at the moment, Leo, for us. And there we have the Queen, the Princess of Swords. The Princess of Swords is the Page of Swords in other tarot decks. She represents applying our thoughts to matter. So perhaps we are having difficulty applying our work. If we have ideas for work, but actually applying it to our work might be difficult, or we may be overthinking our work. So it could be one of the two. And the rest of the reading, I think, will confirm that or deny it. Okay. So something else that we do know, Leo, and that's something in your consciousness at the moment. Something that you're thinking about and aware of. The Nine of Discs is actually the card I'm just about to write about on my Instagram page. I do highly recommend that you follow. It's down there in the description, as I go through each of the deep meanings and symbolism of each of the tarot cards. Anyway, the Nine of Discs is, it's the Nine of Pentacles in other tarot decks. It's the concept of expanding and endless expansion of material benefits. It doesn't have to be wealth, but it can be wealth. It can be other things, other assets, other material things in our lives. I think we're very aware that what's going on in our lives, we've got a lot of earth energy here going on at the moment, Leo. Whatever we're working towards, we either want to gain something or we know it will gain something. Okay. Well, what's driving this? Okay, and this might be a difficult card in the unconscious we're about to see, because I think we've seen the works card and the gain card are very much the earth aspect of our princess here. I wonder whether we're going to get a swords card here, or a major arcana associated with air at least. No, in fact we have my birthday card, the Two of Discs, which is known as Jupiter in Capricorn. I don't have Jupiter in Capricorn, but I was born on the 23rd of December, so whoosh, that hits that on the Decan wheel. And this is about changing circumstances. It's knowing that the universe is ultimately always changing around us. Indeed, we may be aware of change. Perhaps we're watching the stock market, for example. We're noticing changes in the world, Leo. And we're just thinking about, how do I apply my energy and my discipline to use that energy with this changing circumstances at the moment in order to gain something from it. Okay, I'm going to use the stock market perhaps as an analogy. You might be a stockbroker, you might be interested in stocks and shares, but of course we can use that as a metaphor for other things in our lives. Maybe something in our relationship, something we're both invested in. Could be our literal work, our money at the moment. Could be other material things, collections of things, material pleasures. It could be a special interest, maybe cars, basically anything that's in the world of matter. Okay. Could just be resources in general. Okay. I was going to use a food analogy. It could be food. So maybe you're a chef, and maybe budget's getting tight at the moment, Leo. Okay. Alright, I won't go any further into the deep stuff until we've got the whole reading down, Leo. Sorry, let's look in the near past. And this is a time context to whatever's going on for you at the moment, Leo. Oh, we have the Eight of Cups. Not a pleasant card. Indolence, it is also known as. It is Saturn in Pisces. Saturn does not like being Pisces. Pisces does not like Saturn. There's heavy energy in the world of dreams and wants and desires. That's dragging us down. I very much see the Eight of Cups as a bad taste in the mouth card. It is the hangover card. Perhaps we've been doing too much of something, Leo. Perhaps we've been investing too much in something. And it's left us out in the cold. Left us feeling, well, like I said, with a bad taste in our mouth. Sort of, feeling. Okay. See what's in the near future for you. Leo, again, this is time contextual to whatever's going on for you at the moment in your life. Oh, we have the... I don't mean to make that noise, Leo, but the Ten of Swords is the one I always make the noise for that. And actually, I've been having some Tens of Swords in my own life, and I must be saying, Leo, a very difficult card, the Ten of Swords, but there is a positive spin to it. No card is bad, there is just difficult and less difficult cards. And the Ten of Swords is the ultimate climax of overthinking. And that is, we either stop it or we stop. Okay. And this could be maybe quitting whatever it is that's going on for you at the moment, Leo. So if I use the stock and shares, the analogy might be, screw it, I'm just not going to bother. The market is so tumultuous at the moment, I'm quitting, I'm getting out of here. Okay. More extreme examples, of course, could be that I've had enough of the things going on in my life. Now making a decision whether to remove yourself from them or moving yourself within them. I don't think we want to do the latter, do we? Okay, we definitely don't. Better to remove yourself from the situation and start something new. That's what the Ten of Swords is asking us to do, and this is why the Ace of Pentacles comes afterwards, a new physical beginning. So maybe quitting the job, Leo. Maybe getting out of the relationship. even if it's just for a small break. Doesn't have to be the end of the end. Okay, Leo. It's already quite difficult for you. Let's have a look at how you see yourself at the moment, Leo. And I think this particularly applies to you a lot, Leo, because you are very... I don't know how to say this without sounding... It's not an insult. You are a very ego-focused sign, Leo, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Okay. And this can also be advice, and our self-image and advice often go hand in hand. Oh, we have a fire card there, the Knight of Wands. Whilst it is not a Leo card necessarily, it's a Sagittarius card actually. Very much embodies that fire energy that's in you, Leo. And it's about moving on. And perhaps we have reached this, we really feel this Ten of Swords approaching. And we're either going to burn through it or get out of it, go in a different direction. Yeah, and if you look, and I've said this in previous readings, in the Thoth deck, we really do need to look at the way in which our court cards are facing. In fact, any cards, the major arcana as well. Where there's a figure in a card, if they're facing in a direction, we need to pay attention to that in the Thoth deck. Now, just as here, we have the Princess of Swords thinking about this past and thinking about change as she's sort of staring over here. And of course, her sword is pointing towards the future. She's about to drop the sword on that Ten of Swords, burning through it. We see the Knight of Wands is saluting that Ten of Swords and the Change card, as if to say, I'm going to burn through this, or shift direction away from it, perhaps. I think it's more burning through it, because he is facing towards it. Okay. I think this is a positive self-image to have, Leo, for you, because whilst it is a Sagittarius card, it's still embodying, like I say, that fire energy that's in you. Okay, let's look at our environment. What's supporting this, or hindering us at the moment, Leo? And we have Mars in Leo, which, funny enough, is going to happen very soon at the time of this reading. Actually, I think it might even be in 3 days' time. Mars in Leo is known as Valor. It's perhaps the easiest of the sevens to work with in the Thoth deck, in fact all tarot decks. And it's about a one-on-one fight. It's us and our enemy, whatever that enemy may be. I think we know what the enemy is here, something in our material world is our enemy at the moment, Leo. It's about really fighting the good fight and burning through it. It will maybe a Pyrrhic victory at the end, but it's a victory nonetheless. And I think looking at the cards you have at the moment, Leo, we are dancing with defeat. Okay, so I think if we embody this Knight of Wands, you know, he is carrying that wand in the middle of this card here, really. And if we fight to the bitter end for what we want, then we'll have victory. If we keep fighting to carry on to the bitter end in what we're doing here, I think we'll have defeat. So we've got to fight through to end whatever this is for you, Leo. Okay, and now we're going to look at the hopes and fears, Leo. So here I'm going to put the hopes, here I'm going to put the fears. They're kind of a gateway to the final outcome. The hopes are pulling us forwards and the fears are holding us back. So have a look at the hopes at the moment, Leo. The Prince of Swords. So perhaps we're thinking at the moment, Leo, we're really hoping that we'll have some good ideas to overcome what's happening at the moment. I think this relates to the Princess of Swords. She is the Earth of Air. The Prince of Swords is the Air of Air. Just pure thinking, speculating. Perhaps you're hoping for that light bulb moment, Leo, where it all just clicks and you'll understand how to fight through this. Okay. What are the fears doing to contrast this, Leo? We have the Queen of Discs, which is about nurturing things with patience. This is rules Capricorn. And last decan of Sagittarius. It's about having that patience and being able to see things through and nurture it at the same time. She's overlooking that desert with the rivers and oases as she's planted the new seeds and is waiting for the desert to become a vibrant forest. I think here, Leo, and this very much matches your energy and how you see yourself as a Knight of Wands, which is both very vigorous energy. There's a fear, perhaps, of being patient, a fear of having to wait for what you want. We're looking for this gain at the moment, Leo. And let's see what is holding us back from disappointment. Okay, and this is a very interesting reading, Leo, because here I think what we're seeing is that your hopes, this golden bullet, silver bullet, the thing that's going to come out of nowhere and help you, will only lead to disappointment. Remember, our hopes are bringing us to the final outcome. Disappointment is the Mars in Scorpio. And it's when we have gained everything we need emotionally and we realise it's still not enough. Because emotions are not assets, they're conduits. They're part of being, not what we do. Yeah. And if we think about them as assets and things that we have to collect, then we'll find that we'll be very disappointed. They are conduits for consciousness. So perhaps, Leo, I think looking at this reading now, you look like you are working hard for something, some material gain in your life. There's been a period of perhaps failures, perhaps just depression, some sort of mental anguish. And you think you'd be able to fill this hole, or the holes it's left, because there are holes dotted over this landscape here, with material gain. And you know something's got to change at the moment in order for that to happen. The challenge at the moment is about applying your work to something. Applying your beautiful and wonderful mind to the things that you want in life. And you know it's got to change because you sense this Ten of Swords coming if you don't. However, I think that this material, there's nothing wrong with material gain, by the way. I think there's perhaps too much focus on it. And it will lead to this Ten of Swords in the end if we continue to focus upon it. And rather than waiting or wishing for an idea to come out of the blue, we need to use our time wisely and with patience to cultivate a plan. Okay? And really, it's okay to be able to rush towards making plans, rush towards trying to implement them, but fearing a point at which we have to be patient and either allow those ideas to flourish or take a few moments each day to stop and collect those rushing ideas that we have, our rushing energy, collect it all up and reflect upon it. If we fear to do that, and instead we're just hoping out for a hero, a wonder thought, we're only going to end up with disappointment in our lives, Leo. So really the big question is here, Leo, we know you have energy, we know you work hard. Are you able to cultivate that with mindfulness and reflection without fearing those two words I've just said? If I say to you, Leo, whatever you're going through at the moment is difficult, I know. And I know you have the energy and the drive and the fight to get through it. But if I say to you, can you now stop for a moment? Think about what's going on. How is that thinking helping you? How is it hindering you? What do you want? How are you going to get it? Where are you going to get it? And why is this causing so much difficulty if it is? And if it isn't, why is it causing so much pleasure in your life? None of these questions have right or wrong answers, Leo. It's about self-reflection. It's about stopping and looking at our material assets. The Queen of Discs is the water of Earth. The water being the reflective aspect, the Earth being the material assets. And usually we try and avoid the fear card. Okay, if we got a good outcome, like I said, the hopes are pulling us towards it. But here we have disappointment, which is one of the more difficult cards to deal with. And I'm seeing it in its ill-dignified aspect here. So we don't want to be following that Prince of Swords path, which is, quick, give me an idea, quick, give me an idea. Or just endless ideas, yeah? Remember, endless ideas. 9 of Swords leads to the 10 of Swords. So, if I was a doctor, which I'm not, if I was a doctor, I would recommend some mindfulness at the moment, Leo. And maybe looking for some online meditations, going to yoga classes. I know it's all cliche, but it works. Or doing something that you find mindful, a thing that allows you to enter a flow state and be able to think without becoming your thoughts. A state that allows you to notice your thoughts. Notice your feelings. Notice the world around you. Okay? Maybe the things you're working for and the things that you want, by stopping, we might think, actually, I don't want these things anymore. They don't matter. And that would be quite difficult. Be difficult, but you can do it, Leo. Yeah, we know you can do it. We have the Knight of Wands and the Seven of Wands here, Leo. Leo in Mars, and we've got Leo going into Mars soon. Of course, if you're watching this at a later date, have a look at what was going on for you the latter part of April and May of 2025, that is. Thinking might be very far in the future. Okay, Leo. So now we're going to look at the Shadow card. Now, the Shadow card is the bottom card of this deck. It will act as a warning, or a something to look out for and be aware of with regards to how this spread is playing out in your life. Now, I personally believe that it could be, in terms of major arcana, I think we could have the Devil card, Capricorn's card, being too attached to our material assets. I think that we could have perhaps the Eight of Wands, warning us not to rush ahead too fast. And perhaps the Three of Swords. And I really hope it's not the Three of Swords. But it could be. It's Sorrow, by the way. Okay, and actually I'm going to make a last minute prediction. I think maybe the Eight of Swords, just getting in your own way. We have the Sun card, which is actually your card, Leo. I mean, it's not your card in terms of... Your card is the Lust card, but in terms of you are ruled by the Sun, so it is one of your cards, Leo. Okay, so this is going to be difficult for you to hear, Leo. What this is telling us is not to shine too brightly at the moment, not to draw too much attention to yourself. Play the long game and try and just detach from that sense of self to the self. Consciousness. We're moving away from the ego. We're trying to move more into being. There's a lot of doing energy in this spread. I think really what the Queen of Discs is asking us to do is to start being a little. Yeah. But get through whatever difficulties you're doing at the same time. So the Queen of Discs is going to open the space for your Knight of Wands to move through. Okay, we know that the environment's supporting this in terms of the Valor card. We have Mars going into Leo again. We have an environment in which we can fight, and I think it is the Queen of Discs that is providing that environment, and you're providing that environment, Leo. Your mindful mind is providing the environment. It will have a knock-on effect. If you're in a family at the moment, you being mindful will really help create an atmosphere of mindfulness, eventually, within the family, same within the workspace, same within your friendships. And if it doesn't, then we need to be asking those questions, Leo. Are these people really my people? Okay? And that's quite difficult, Leo, because what I'm essentially asking you to do is be less Leo-like at the moment. And perhaps be a bit more reflective and a bit more wise with your actions. Remember, the Knight of Wands is a Sagittarius card. It is a Sage card. And if we look at the fire signs, we can see them in terms of maybe a progression of maturity through the energy aspect. Aries is very much like a warrior. It's quite immature, but a lot of energy. Leo is the king. Again, energy and the ability to fight, but also the ability to reflect, moving in. And then we move to the Sage, which is Sagittarius. And that is more reflecting. So it's going deeper into the more esoteric, into the more spiritual aspects of life. Being able to be mindful and explore that mindfulness too. Remember what I said about the Queen of Discs here is creating the space to be mindful so that the Knight of Wands can pass through and end whatever difficulties you're going through here with this Princess of Swords. How do I apply my thoughts to matter? How can I change the situation at the moment? How do I prevent this Ten of Swords? Well, I can tell you now, Leo, to prevent it is not by rushing forwards wantonly. You can rush forwards through the space you open, but first you need to open the space. You're in a narrow corridor at the moment. Okay, we need to earth our energy. We don't want to apply air to it. Apply air to it, we're just going to get this barren landscape we see in the Five of Cups. All the water's dried up. It's a nuclear holocaust. Okay, and the sun, of course, is just a giant nuclear bomb going off all the time. Well, not quite. It's nuclear fusion. There's still a nuclear reaction going on. So, yes, Leo, it's a difficult message. Try to be less Leo at the moment. And I really do hope that helps you in some way, Leo, because it looks like you're going through a difficult period of your life at the moment, particularly materially. But remember that all things do pass, and all things must pass, particularly here in Malkuth in the material realm. Remember, the Ten of Swords is in Malkuth, all tens of Malkuth. Malkuth being the world that we live in. And really try and maybe perhaps focus more on creating space in which for you to return back to Kether, the true self, the original self, consciousness. Now, if you liked what you saw today here, Leo, and found it useful, please do put a like down there, just above the comment section. And if you found today's content really useful, want to see more content like this, and also go through the tarot tutorial videos I do for each of the individual cards, as well as different tarot spreads, and the different signs which you can look at if you didn't resonate with what you saw today. For example, you could be an Aquarius rising, and you might identify more with the Aquarius reading. Then do hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss any future videos. Thank you very much again, Leo, and may peace be with you all. Goodbye.